Check one, check two, douglAR Politics. We starting in 6 minutes. 6 minutes, let's go. douglAR Politics, we are ready.
This is a national emergency. A primetime Monday night report calling all UNC warriors. Stand your ground on crime, property tax, home invasions, bad roads. Stand your ground to victory. 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 Victory.
douglAR Politics. This is douglAR Politics, yo. douglAR Politics. Listen, douglAR Politics, yeah. douglAR Politics. This is douglAR Politics, yeah. douglAR Politics. This is douglAR Politics. douglAR Politics. This is douglAR Politics, yo. douglAR Politics.
Good evening and welcome to douglAR Politics. Congratulations to Dylan Carter defending his 100-meter freestyle gold medal championship at the Central American and Caribbean Games in a blistering time of 48.49 seconds, hitting out the first 15 meters in 23.11 and coming back in 25.38, hitting the turn ahead of the field by a body length and a half, coming out of his turns with the greatest underwater in the world, going to 14 meters. He got a little bit choppy with 18 meters to go, but in Fukuoka we expect him to finish there strongly and come back in a 47.6. So excellent gold medal to Dylan Carter. Congratulations. Trinidad and Tobago, Angus Eve and the Trinidad and Tobago Soca Warriors 3-0 over St. Kitts on a waterlogged pitch in front of about 35 Trinbagonian supporters. But well done, Angus Eve. Some very good second half substitutions. When St. Kitts was putting pressure and getting ball possession, very intelligent substitutions with Shaw and Fortune and then Gill to take over the game and beat a good team, St. Kitts 3-0. Jamaica well done, but you all threw away a historic victory. You gave it away with 15 minutes to go, with your substitutions being too defensive. You thought you could hold off the USA with a 1-0 lead, and you took off your big striker, who I believe would have counter-attacked and probably put Jamaica up 2-0, but so be it. Jamaica still played well, 1-1 draw. So it's all to play for. Trinidad and Tobago versus Jamaica. End of story. If we win, we're going through to the knockout stages. If we draw, real pressure, probably a 8% chance if some miracles happen. So it's really, we must beat Jamaica. That's it coming up. Also, the Special Olympians doing very well, winning some gold medals out there. And the West Indies cricket. I think we should stop playing cricket. I really do. We have no shame. We really have no shame. We were the greatest team, sports team, of any sport in history. Understand what I've said, you know? The West Indies team from 1974-75 into 1983 was the most dominant team, the greatest team, the most controlling, brilliant, amazing, world-beating team in any sport. Better than the Los Angeles Lakers, better than Wayne Gretzky on the ice, but better than footballers, Brazil and so on. The greatest team that dominated world cricket was the West Indies. We lost to Zimbabwe. Yes, and everybody, Nepal for a while, for about 20 minutes, thought they could beat we too. Nepal, the only thing Nepal is supposed to beat we in is climbing mountain. But that's where we reach. West Indies, what you want me to say? And all they're still fighting to be president of West Indies and manager of West Indies, and this, all this should go. Each and everyone should resign, come out, disband the thing. Trinidad and Tobago passes anti-doping sports bill. But we passed this way back in 2013 under Kamala Prasad Bisesa unanimously in the lower house and upper house, the anti-doping sport bill, and PNM has done nothing. It was proclaimed partially pieces in 2015 and ready to roll. And since 2015 to now, the PNM has done absolutely nothing. And then Faris Al-Rawi comes into the parliament to say, yes, we're adopting and adapting the bill because we're hosting the Commonwealth Youth Games. You've done nothing. There's no TADO, there's no board, there's no education on doping in sport, there's no position, there's no testing, there's no lab, there's no accreditation, there are no competitions. We have to depend on international people right through. And the PNM just to spend money, because they spend 80 million in Hazy Crawford Stadium. They're spending 15 million to refurbish a brand new aquatic center. They're spending money rehabilitating different grounds for 7 sports. They spend no money on the athletes. So they don't care. The athletes could go there and get cocktail, no big thing. Because that's not what the PNM about. The PNM about giving Noel Garcia money to go and spend it. Because Rowley gave Noel Garcia all the money, hug up tight to spend, right? What's this? The third session of the 10th Republican Parliament, Anti-Doping in Sport Bill 2013, an act to provide for the implementation of UNESCO International, right? Way back in 2013, March 2013, thank you, Archie. Look at picture there, right? You understand? Them now come to pass legislation. And Al-Rawi talking one shot. He says something about 700 countries. How many countries in the world? But Al-Rawi is one dance. Anyway, when you're wearing tight Catwoman clothes up in a sports day, that's suck out the oxygen from your brain because it's so tight down here now. The brain does get starved for oxygen. That's why Al-Rawi is so dotish. Qatar's wealth fund buys stake in Washington teams. Now, our Heritage and Stabilization Fund, in 1 year, call me, but keep it secret. We lost a billion US. Lost, disappear. They say it could build back and all. Lost, gone. Hear what Qatar doing with their wealth fund, their Heritage and Stabilization Fund. Qatar, same oil and gas, but brighter people. Doha Dotish PNM. Qatar's sovereign wealth fund is buying a roughly 5% stake in the parent company of the NBA's Washington Wizards, the NHL's Washington Capitals, and the WNBA Washington Mystics as part of a US $4.05 billion deal, a person with knowledge of the sale said on Thursday. And let me just tell you, for example, Michael Jordan bought a small stake, a minority stake in the Charlotte Hornets way back. He might have bought it for about 130 million. He's set to sell it for over $1.2, $1.3 billion. That's what intelligent people do. They invest their money for future generations. So when the oil and gas run out, they will have plenty. Not like what happens under the PNM. Ferreira, as I said, PNM, Ferreira appointed to Home Mortgage Bank chairman. This Patrick Ferreira, call me but brethren, they linemen since long time in tight Levi's and Jordache jeans in a jeep going down the islands and driving down on boat and going Mayaro and thing. He brethren, you know. They closer than husband and wife. He called me but put him in charge of NIB, even though a politically appointed person wasn't supposed to be the chairman. When that independent PNM Senator Helen Drayton was removed, they put Ferreira there, the man who had some questions during the insurance, when he was in insurance, you understand, at his family company. But now, call me but not done there. No man, friend and family must have a tight grip and choke all your money and possible opportunities out of Trinidad and Tobago till nothing is left except a gun pointing at you in Twin City Mall and killing you while your pregnant wife going there to buy Pampers and robbing and beating and killing because nothing trickling down. But the rich getting richer. Ferreira appointed to Home Mortgage Bank, who was previously at Home Mortgage Bank called a Heart. And Montai and them went through some bacchanal. The PNM continues their corruption playbook. Patrick Ferreira has been named the chairman of the Home Mortgage Bank following a major overhaul of the board in which 6 of 8 directors, including former chairman Douglas Camacho, Douglas Camacho, even the PNM don't want you now. You is a goat in the sport company, a goat in the hockey board, and now he is a goat gone from the Home Mortgage Bank too. Great is the PNM head, Douglas Duns Camacho. Dial Singh, no patients adversely affected by outages at the EWMSC. Health Minister Terence Dial Singh says while there were power outages at the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex over the weekend, patients were not adversely affected. He was responding to questions in Parliament. Electricity goes in a hospital, and all this fool could say is that no patients were affected. Really? When electricity go by me, I'm not a patient, but I'm affected because I can't sleep without air condition. I need to watch my sports on my cable, my DigiPlay. The places get hot and muggy and sweaty. My asthma does act up. There's electricity going. I not hook up on no ventilator. I not waiting for no generator. How long the generator does take to kick in? And if it kick in properly. So this man say, electricity gone in the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex. But no patient was affected. He have a crystal ball. He is the all-knowing, all-seeing, all-feeling. He interview any patient at Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex to say whether they were affected or not. Bid to tarnish WHO chief, says this same fool. Bid to tarnish Tedros. Tedros tarnish himself with varnish. Health Minister Terence Dial Singh said he may have to apologize to the Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, over an attempt to tarnish the reputation of this esteemed guest who visited Trinidad and Tobago last week by a Trinidadian medical professional. Dial Singh took strong objection to an article written by Dr. David Bratt in which he said nobody knew Dr. Tedros was coming to Trinidad and Tobago, and that the WHO was run by unelected bureaucrats. So Dr. Bratt he talking the absolute truth. So why is Dayal Singh and the PNM taking such offense to this? Speaking at a press conference yesterday, Dayal Singh said he had spent the last 8 years avoiding responding to Bratt's articles. He said on this occasion, Bratt had crossed the line. Put back Convent Girl Day. Let me talk to that complete dunce. And let him understand, in life, accomplishments, discipline, ability to read and understand and pass exams puts you in a hierarchy. Listen here, Mr. Dunce. You are in no position to even debate on equal footing with Dr. Bratt. Dr. Bratt passed all of his exams. Dr. Bratt is a specialist. Went through all his medical board certified. Years experience. Brilliant. Saved people's lives, children's lives. Serving hundreds of thousands of patients. You are a druggist. Meaning, hey, I want Panadol. How much you want? You want a full card? Yes. Here. That's what you are. You could not even pass a pharmacological exam. You feel Dr. Bratt care to even consider to debate with you? That is like George Bovell III debating with a man who can't swim whether he go drown or not. You are really fast and out of place. Sir, when you go home, clean the mirror, take a nice chamois and shine it. Look in the mirror and tell yourself this. I am dumb. I am dotish. I could not pass exams. Let me hush my mouth and leave intelligent people like Dr. Bratt alone. Practice it with me now. I am Convent Girl and I am dotish. Say that in the morning. Say that in the evening. Twice per day for 3 weeks. Take 4 Panadol and call me on douglAR Politics. Okay, idiot? He going to respond to Dr. Bratt. Yes. Okay, idiot? Good boy. Good boy. Now move the little dodo head. You apologize to the parents and the people and the families of 4,798 people who died of COVID. You ain't apologize to all the patients who have to go and watch their loved ones die without seeing a doctor in the hospital. You ain't apologize to all the people over the last 8 years who could not get the oncology drugs on time. You ain't apologize to all the elderly people who cannot get the CDAP drugs. You going to apologize to Tedros? But Tedros as dotish as you. Archie, into your video dealing with Tedros? Run it if you have it.
Let's hear what you said again, doctor.
And I would also like to recognize that Trinidad and Tobago, your country, has done very well in this pandemic. And this is because of your leadership. Even without vaccines, using simple public health solutions, we can see from your own experience that this virus can be controlled. So thank you so much.
Please provide the world at large with the science that informed your comments. If none exists there, sir, I suggest you apologize, clarify, withdraw your public comment, and resign. Yes, resign. As you have brought the WHO into disrepute and have irrevocably damaged the reputation.
Exactly. We all in this country prefer to read here from Dr. Bratt. Scientific advice, intelligent advice, caring advice from a man who has served this country and served people without blemish. We don't want to hear from you, Convent Girl Dayal Singh, you blithering idiot, you dunce, you dotish PNM. Who want to hear you? We number one in the world. You can make a mask today, don't take a mask. No, COVID won't come. Yes, we have tested. No, those are not good tests. We bring PCR tests. Oh no, you can do the test. No, oxygen. Move Davlin Thomas. Move the CEO. Move the... You are an idiot. We number one in the world. You just go in your PNM thing, and who want to listen to you? As dotish as you, God bless all your PNM and stay together. Leave intelligent citizens who have helped and served this country like Dr. Bratt, who should receive a national award over and above Parsham and them who kill people in COVID. Every variant known to man walk through here. People dead in home, people dead in intent, people cannot get service. 9 out of 10 people dying in the ICU. Once you reach the HDU, you're dead. You gotta walk with your suit and tie. You gotta look casket sharp. In your system, you boast that you had a parallel healthcare system and some tent. The USA built up tent in Gene Pay, and you proud of that. Number one in the world, because 2 drunk students say, hey, Trinidad is not, no, sorry, wrong accent. Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, my. They're not letting the people come home. Could you imagine? People born and holding a passport cannot return home. That's very stringent, mate. Let's drink another pint. Give me a snake bite. Give me a Guinness. Oh, Trinidad and Tobago, they're number one in the world because they didn't let the citizens come home because they're too stupid to run a normal, simple temperature test, swab, test, come true. Quarantine, go so. Dodo heads, PNM. So leave Dr. Bratt alone, okay, convent girl? What you could do is study this. No medication at Mount Hope Hospital. Ron Hill, printed in The Guardian. This is my opinion. This is the second time the pharmacy within the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex, Mount Hope Hospital, does not have any medication for outpatients of the eye clinic. This goes for a whole range of medications within Mount Hope Hospital. Many people are forced to buy medication outside the hospital and in many public hospitals in this country. This has been going on for many years and months. Instead of going forward, the system is going backwards. Even the emergency ward has the same issue. Most of the time, the medicine from the pharmacy within the hospital has a 1-month expiration date for usage. This is about your hospitals, Convan Gill, Minister of Health, druggist who could not pass a pharmacological exam and has the audacity to talk and criticize Dr. Bratt. Dr. Bratt will not even listen to you, you idiot. When you're bright, you just switch off dance, you know, Dr. Bratt wouldn't even hear that. HDC, Ministry of Works and Transport, to carry out flood mitigation exercises in flood-prone areas. And you know what the flood-prone areas are? You have Noel Garcia, Torrin, Greenville. You know it's Greenville? Greenville was built by the very said Noel Garcia when he was on the board chaired by Andre Montai, included Faris Al-Rawi, and the Minister of Housing was Keith Christopher Rowley back between 2003 to 2007, and they had no planning approval. They had no change of land use. The Ministry of Planning and Integrated Development had blanked them and told them, do not construct homes there. But Rowley, the minister, instructed Noel Garcia, Montai, and them to go ahead, purchase the land from John Rahal, Rowley's brethren. Once it have money and friend, I Rowley, and go ahead and build house. People nearly drowned in the house. The house is nearly drowned because of Rowley's breaking of the law with Noel Garcia and other PNM not building and starting a project without the requisite approvals. It was denied because it was agricultural land and it was in a flood plain. But it's Rahal land, and Rahal and Rahawli, money, just like Renaissance going up in the sky. Rahal and Rahawli, same thing. And Chukin and Noel Garcia, and them just talk about corruption. But he touring Greenville. Actually, we had a video on that.
I'm trying to evacuate persons from the Greenville area. Anybody watching the live right now who could possibly assist? This rain started like only about 10 minutes ago, and the The levels of the water on the streets is about 2 to 3 feet right now.
This is Lokita right now. Underwater.
Come on, man, look at that. Now water all over the stuff is on it.
Look at cracker trying to pass out there.
Look at that. That's the going engine. Hey, that guy making sense, boy. Guy making sense of what boy.
Go back out there, boy. Go back out. Go back out. Watch out, guy in that gearbox, boy.
Look at that. Look going on there.
First time I see off the fast so bad, the man sick there.
People are balling out.
What PNM? Where you MC?
Start off, that was Greenvale. Greenvale was built in a floodplain without permission, without planning approval. Just last 2 weeks, they're printing about how some private developer, the police investigating and so on. Why the police ain't investigating Keith Rowley, ain't investigating Andre Montai and the HDC board at that time? Why they not investigating Noel Garcia and Faris Al-Rawi, who was on the HDC board for the construction at Greenvale without approval from the Ministry of Planning? How come? Oh, because PNM could do what they want. PNM could break the law. Rowley could break the law. He could go Inez Gate. He could fill out the integrity form how he want. He could lie on it. He could sign it. He could get discount and not declare it. He could do what he want. He could go and interfere with the Police Service Commission, interfere with the DPP, Nelson Gate, judiciary, know about judges going on and so on. PNM could do what they want. But PNM is caught every time with a bunch of incompetent liars. There was the Joint Select Committee on WASA. I didn't want to get involved with them idiots, I really didn't want to, because I'm fed up. I just want the PNM to go from local government, general election, every ministry, every local government body, every council, every board. The PNM must go. But let me just remind you all of how incompetent and dotish the PNM is. Chairman Nanga, once again, of WASA, telling fantasies and lies about all the backlog of leaks being fixed, and now they're labeling leaks as new leaks, leaks that have come up for 30 days. But we seeing all the same old leaks still leaking, but he say it fixed. And then on top of that, the man is the chairman of WASA and has no clue about the amount of water that has been wasted monthly by WASA over the last 5 to 6 years. Run it, Archie.
At the time we started with the leak repair drive, we were looking at an approximate figure of 5,000 leaks in our system. And that would have been at the point when we developed the digital dashboard to allow us to track the leaks that we were dealing with. And we would have repaired that 5,000 leak backlog. That's the backlog that we met in place. That's the backlog that persons that would have been referring to all along. Currently, based on our system, we have 1,500 current leaks that we are in the process of addressing. Of course, we can't say that we have 1,500 leaks. That is a moving target.
Because he gave us some nice information there that moved us from the realm of fantasy into a bit of reality. So one follow-up to Chairman Nanga. So there are 1,500 leaks now. Now, not in a scientific manner, but more in a guesstimate manner based on 4,200 leaks losing 4.2 billion gallons of water per month. If there are 1,500 leaks now, we are saying that WASA is currently under our road infrastructure and under our houses and our buildings and everything, that there is approximately still 1.2 to 1.5 billion gallons of water being wasted by leaks from WASA's infrastructure.
Thank you. And I'm not sure whether the member got those figures, but it's the amount of water lost by leaks is not in the billions. It's in the millions, perhaps hundreds of billions. So it is 90 million gallons of water would be lost by leaks.
Chairman Nanga, it is unfortunate that you have been at the helm of WASA for a very long time, and you do not understand the quantum of water lost by leaks. You're telling me that it's not billions of gallons. Let me tell you something. I don't open my mouth before I research. The average back in 2017, the average potable water produced and pumped by WASA to supply Trinidad and Tobago was about 7.2 to 7.3 billion gallons per month. At the rate of leakage of 4,200 leaks, WASA was losing 50 to 56% of their potable water through leakage, which amounted to an average of 4.2 billion gallons per month.
Yeah, the figure that I got from the CEO, and I would turn over to the CEO in terms of those figures.
Losses. Those are losses that you will be seeing on the roadways and so forth system. They amounted 90 million gallons per day, which would be about 7.2 billion gallons for the month.
Chairman Nanga, you complete dunce. You don't even know what you're in charge of, and have the audacity to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. You're a madman, boy. That's why WASA is at its worst ebb. Not only the worst minister, but the worst chairman of WASA in history. Nanga, resign and go back now. Go back in your law firm or do something that you're better than. And just to show you something, Nanga, watch leaks just in Dago today. I just say, look at this. Here in Dago Martin, where I live, to show you that the chairman of WASA, Mr. Nanga, who said that all the leaks have been seen about the backlog and they only have new leaks. Look one right here by Kitchener, Reno Rama, national hero. That one exists there about 4 years. So I don't know how they calling that a new leak. Look, we turn down here. Crystal Stream before the Church of the Nativity, that one leaking at least 7 months. So me, you know, what you talking about new leak? I'll give all you more just, let me just drive around a bit. Mr. Nanga, stop lying, boy. And on this street here, there are one leak here, right here. One coming up near that pothole on the right hand side there. Now they dry right now because in this area, you only get water to fill your tank 3 or 4 times for the week. 2 hours per day. Alright? Well, somebody drink too much and end up in a drain day, me know. So 3 leaks on this street alone, averaging over 8 months. Residents have made at least 6 to 8 reports and it's still there. But Nanga said the backlog of leaks, all leaks fixed. Yes, Nanga. Blessings. Alright, just over there are 2 leaks up so. That going on about 3 years. Me and now Nanga say that they are new leaks. This is the WASA station right there, they go. Now it's bright, hot sunshine, so that water is not rain. This leak has been going, this one here has been going about 3-4 years. Is that a brand new 30-day leak? Look one and next one right there in front of my car. Hey, Mr. Nanga, what about that leak? That one there about 2.5 years. But you label it 30-day leak. This one here is a leak, but the water is only pumped through there for certain hours during the day. So you'll only see it leaking at specific times. Look another one here, leaking, but you see it kind of just pool up there because they're pumping the water now because people in Dago Martin just get water sporadically. So all of these leaks are year-long leaks. Years now they're leaking. But Nanga in a JSC saying we've done all the backlog of the old leaks and they only had new leak. New leak? You need a new brain, boy, PNM Nanga. And there's just 1 square kilometer around close by me, you know. That's not the country, you know. But that's how these PNM just come and lie. You understand? Struggling for goods and services. San Fernando City Corporation, PNM Corporation, 2 PNM MPs, San Fernando East and San Fernando West, the Catwoman Minister Puya Faris Al-Rawi, aka Johnny Sukaran. And the central government, the entire cabinet is PNM. Yet, in the PNM newspaper, Express, you know, but they had to print the truth. San Fernando City Corporation struggling for goods and services. The San Fernando City Corporation was last week given the thumbs down with strong calls for better services after the August 14th local government election. The only way you get better services is to remove the PNM. If you have all PNM Corporation, 2 PNM MP and a PNM central government and nothing working, the problem is the PNM. Criticisms including development plans that have not been kept, slow delivery of bigger projects, inconsistent service in some areas, including garbage collection, and lack of accessibility to municipal officials. From business owners to vendors, as well as residents in the city, complaints were similar. People said San Fernando's overall appearance had dimmed and its infrastructure was declining. Historical and well-known landmarks, including state buildings, were eyesores and wasted space, some occupied by increasing numbers of homeless people. Residents said drains and rivers were not being cleaned, and people in the city and in neighboring communities, including Vista Bella and Marabella, said the place is in a mess. Several men and women who did not want to be identified said they felt local government system was being used for favoritism and corruption. But they don't want to be identified because of the vindictive, wicked, persecutorial nature of Keith Christopher Rowley and the PNM. And it's not only San Fernando Corporation. All you go up Arima Corporation, you have a Arima MP. You have a Dabadi Omira MP, PNM. You have a PNM Corporation, a PNM Mayor, PNM Central Government, and Arima in a total mess. Just take a little example, run it.
Good morning. Another Sunday, another day that Rose Park in Arima is uncut, is covered in bush. It has been like this probably for about 6 weeks now. Father's Day came, gone. Mother's Day came, gone. And the people of Arima could not have enjoyed the park. We could not have bring our sons and our daughters to play some football or some cricket or even have a picnic in the park. Simply because the park is overgrown with bush. You see that little area there? That is cut. That is a private coaching football team. Cut that. You see up there where the people playing cricket? The cricketers, and they came together and cut the grass down there so that they could have enjoyed their game. But the rest of Rose Park, uncut and unkept. People of Arima, I really don't know what factors that you all consider when we keep voting back in the same people that do the same nonsense all the time. All the time. Look at the little park area there. Run down, nothing in it. Grass grew up all around the park. These people are not doing us any favors, you know. These people collect our tax money. And all they are required to do is to manage our tax money and provide us with services. Provide us with facilities with our tax money.
So to the people of Arima, enough is enough. Vote UNC, August 14th. End of story in every district, every Burgess. Get rid of this PNM. Even the PNM, Ashton Ford criticizing the PNM without saying PNM because he can't say it. As we talk in PNM, St. Jude's management promises better care for residents at Diego Martin facility. So St. Jude's Home for Girls, one of the homes mentioned in the Judith Jones report, where the Judith Jones report was scathing about homes that receive government subventions and take care of our children most in need. Scathing accusations of rape, abuse, physical abuse, battering, burning with cigarettes, robbery, the worst sort of allegations to be made against these homes. And St. Jude's home moving from an old building to a refurbished St. Michael's Home for Boys, they refurbished that. And so all the management and the P&M government saying, St. Jude's management promises better care for residents at Diego Martin facility, because they're moving building. They're moving from an old building into a nice shiny new building. Residents at the St. Jude's Home for Girls will soon be able to earn an income and be exposed to improved trauma interventions to prepare them for life and state care. These are just some of the several new benefits the home's management listed as they gave Guardian Media an exclusive first-hand look at the recently refurbished facility at what used to be known as the St. Michael's School for Boys. So the same management, the same human beings, the same staff, where there were allegations of rape and battering and beating and abuse, but they move it into a new building. So if it had any rape or battering, it now in a nice new building. If it had any burning with cigarette, well, oh God, the terrazzo in this building smooth. Why they're getting burned and the children screaming? They could scream on a shiny terrazzo. The bed might be a little softer when sickos are taking advantage of them. Isn't this the most nonsense you have ever heard from this? This Judith Jones report went in a year and a half ago, and this woman, Ayanna Webster Roy, this minister of nothingness, this minister who loves Heinz while people dead in, this PNM minister of Rowley and the PNM, they have done nothing. When I mean absolutely nothing, they have done nothing. The children are still, for 18 months, in the hands of the very people that the Judith Jones report says are beating, raping, battering, abusing them. And you people try to say UNC and PNM is the same? If Kamla Prasad Bissessa was Prime Minister, one, it wouldn't need no Judith Jones report, because from the time Naked would have said, hey, is something going on there? Kamla Prasad Bissessa would have sent police down in there in droves, special branch and jeep and all kind of thing. Any unit, children unit, any unit, she would have sent army. She would have put TSTT to put CCTV cameras connected to a children's safety unit where they could monitor every home, every room, every place. She would have changed the management. She would have moved out. She would have put more light in. She would have put in some new social workers, guidance counselors, people with tasks to keep the children safe. She would have changed the security arrangements. Whatever was there was not good enough, and replace it with meaningful security so that the children would have been instantly protected. You telling me that Kamla response is the same as this crap? 18 months and nothing? 4 months to read the report, 6 months to meet and discuss, and the next 6 months to talk about the recommendations that may be implemented just now, and you move one building, same human beings, from a old building to a new building and say, hey, children safe. That is the rubbish that passed for governance under the PNM, and you all have the audacity and the ridiculous dishonesty to say PNM and UNC is the same, or you have to be mad. And woman, you are no flipping shame. Move, Sheena. As we talking about no shame, imagine President Kangaloo tells graduates of Grant Memorial that failure is an inevitable part of life. No one is perfect. Well,
areas of national.
Kangaloo, you not even good. So me I know how you reach perfect. And failure, you're a complete total failure. Just because you use a PNM and went in Balize house and you rise and you made things rise and you reach up to president's house because Balize house put you there. That's not success. That's called Lickbamsi. Lickbamsi is not success in anybody's book. So don't go around preaching to children how to get successful, because how you reach there is Lickbamsi. Your resume is not good enough to reach anywhere. You want to tell people how to reach there? How you reach there? Tell us now. How you reach there? You studied so hard. You were so brilliant. You excelled over everyone. You were PhD, your master's, your master's in law. You went to Oxford, Harvard. You got senior counsel. What you did? No. All you did was go in Balize house and lick Bamsi and come in as Senate, as a president of the Senate, and thwart the opposition and abuse the constitution and abuse the legal opposition senators and call standing orders when you're not supposed to and try to prevent debate. That's all you did. You have the audacity to go to children and say, what, be like you? And talk perfections. You are not even good, girl. There is nothing good about you. You was not the best in your law class. You was not the brightest in school. You're not no scholarship winner. When were you ever the best at anything? You was the best PNM. Okay. Well, tell the children the truth. If you want to be good, join the PNM, because them does gerrymander, them does control the EBC, and no matter what kind of miscreant you are, you could be prime minister. No matter if you're a misogynist, no matter if you're a honor man, no matter if you interfere with man, wife in the cabinet, no matter if you make children all over the place and put them in Victoria Keys, anything you do, you could become the prime minister. And once you stay close to a prime minister like that, and be very close to him, pay more attention to him and giggle more. Echo, why you vexed so, boy? You see Larry or? Eh? How you so vexed? Larry was in the church there too, or? Eh? Mr. Bareback get cough up all and down Abercrombie, across Park and down Pembroke Street. Eh? They say you could run fast like Usain Bolt when that man was cutting your ass. A failure is an inevitable part of life. Be brave and embrace new challenges, says the President Kangaloo. Be brave and embrace new challenges to warp the Constitution, to put the presidency into disrepute, to breach every convention of our framers of the Constitution, to put Balize juice into every form of fashion of life, to take merit out of life, to remove merit from the merit list, to remove merit from scholarships, to turn scholarships into bursaries, to turn a minister of health, a druggist, into a minister of health, to take a failed engineer and make him minister of finance and collapse the economy, to take a failed law student like Al-Rawi and make him AG and lose 30 out of 30 cases. You all have the audacity to talk to people, children, about accomplishment. You've accomplished nothing. Anything you have been given is quid pro quo. That's what you want our children to do? Quid pro quo? To walk down our steps, past 3 dogs, walk down more, pass a parrot, open the door to a dungeon office and lay down on a red couch? That's what you want our children to do? I think not. So save your advice for some, and parents, I don't know if all you knew she was coming, but if I knew you was coming to talk to my child class, my child was staying home. My child was not coming to listen to you. Watch it. Down the steps, past 3 dogs, past the parrot, into the office, and action on the red couch. All of a sudden, PNM talking and taking pictures about education. Well done now, Tourism Minister Randall Mitchell presents Hawa Mohammed with a certificate at the TML Primary School. So all of a sudden for photo ops, right? The Prime Minister don't take no photo up when people drowning in flood. He don't want to help nobody with no cricks or no Clorox or no mop. But all of a sudden, look Penny Beckles and think, UE Science Tech faculty a gem, education is a gem, says these PNM Kangaloo, Randall Mitchell, Penny Beckers running to take picture. But they cut gate from 726 million under Fazal Karim and Kamla Prasad Bisesa down to 300 million. They shut down 4 NESC centers training youths. They shut down 8 MIC centers built by David Lee and Fazal Karim. They cut school feeding. They shut down the laptop program of Tim Gopi Singh. Tim Gopi Singh and Kamla Prasad Bisesa built 106 schools. The PNM built 3 schools in 8 years. They left over 40 schools which were nearly finished, 70 to 95% complete, to be ravaged and mastered and battered so that children cannot go to school. The PNM cut sport, culture, and then they taking picture with graduation. The SEA students are doing the worst now in our history. Over 54% of them got less than 50%. Over 1,600 children got less than 0. And the PNM is taking pictures at people's graduation and taking pictures about education. They cut funding to UTT and COSTAT. They shut down the TTHTI, the Hotel Institute. They shut down the nursing school in El Dorado that I as minister gave to Fazal Karim, gave the authority of that area to turn into a nursing school, and over 3,200 nurses were trained over a 6-year period in that nursing school in El Dorado. PNM shut it down. And they're taking picture. Are we really intelligent people? Can we really discern between the mamagism of Kangaloo, Penny Beckers, Randall Mitchell, Rowley and the PNM, and the reality of real investment and management of your taxpayer dollars by Kamla Prasad Bisesa and the UNC and the ministers? You all can't see that? We want answers. Family of worker that died at Nikwan accident. The cops probe fatal accident at Nikwan. The police service has launched an investigation into the fatal incident at Nikwan Pointe-a-Pierre last week, and the police inspector has been assigned to it. However, the incident was not officially reported to the police. So the police, let me ask you this. How come you're moving now? You ain't getting no report, but you're going to investigate Nikwan. Very good, eh? Don't get me wrong. Excellent. Where's the investigation with the divers who were left 39 hours to die and suffocate while everybody knew there was intel and information that they were alive? Why the police didn't rush in there? And there were reports made. And Kamla Prasad Bisesa called for police to investigate, to cordon off the area, to stop people from going and tampering with the evidence and so on. Kamla Prasad Bisesa begged the police, take over. It's a crime scene. It's a murder scene, manslaughter scene. Crimes had been committed. Why? So police, why you didn't? How come you're acting now and you ain't got a report? But when people was begging you, Kamla and the UNC was begging you, David Lee down in Pointe-a-Pierre was begging you, Victor Roberts was there begging you to take over, take control, police. Why you didn't do that? You see, police, is it because it had Stuart Young, Minister Energy involved? It had Newman George Rowley, brethren, golf partner involved, husband of the Speaker of the House of Representatives. It had PNM Board of Paria involved. It had PNM decision makers, so therefore, police, hold back, don't investigate PNM. We are the police for the rest of the country, not the PNM. When the PNM do the thing, we do get involved. So you see, the police have a problem with that. Because while I commend you for this, brilliant. The country wants and deserves full investigation. What about the investigation into Sarabia, the death of Yael Sarabia by the Coast Guard, shooting him and busting his brain open and killing him, a bullet ripping his baby brain apart? Where's that? You see? The Prime Minister is uncertain if report on Nikwan workers' death will be made public. You uncertain, and Rowley? And then Nikwan says, report is private, confidential. Any report coming out of the investigation into the death of Alan Lane Ramkissoon will be private and confidential and cannot be published, Nikwan Energy Trinidad Limited has said. Rowley also said the report on the 2021 Nikwan blast cannot be made public because Nikwan is private. Really, Rowley? Nikwan trying to say it followed its safety protocols, but a man dead. We showed you videos of the place nearly blowing up 3-4 times, right? Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. You see how these PNM, the web of corruption and nepotism goes throughout? Nikwan is a private entity. However, Nikwan exists only because $1 billion US of taxpayers' assets were sold or given to PNM Financier Gill, PNM Due Diligence Alison Lewis, Board Chairman of the Port Authority and former PNM Permanent Secretary, and PNM Independent Senator Small on the board. PNM gave Nikwan PNM directors your assets valued at 1.2 billion US for the great princely price of 10 million US. Oh, and 25 million in shares. Never mind the 25 million in shares is worth zero. Because they may produce nothing and they sell nothing. So the shares are worth nothing, the preference shares, right? So they give the PNM boys, their friend and family, at 1.2 billion worth of assets for 10 million US and 25 million in preference shares, which worth zero because they produce nothing. On top of that, Nikwan only produce or has the opportunity, well, to produce, but they can't produce, but they're only blowing up people and killing people with your gas, because the PNM gave Nikwan the minister's share of gas to facilitate their production. The minister's share of gas is your gas, the citizens' gas, the taxpayers' gas. So for them to now say that you have the assets of the people for a cheap price, you have the gas of the people given by the PNM, PNM to PNM to PNM, but it's private, so it had to stay secret. Really? Does that make sense? Is it really private? I think not. Furthermore, when someone dies, a citizen dies, is that a private matter? When a plant blows up and affects the surrounding areas, people, houses, cracks, and so on, is that a private matter? I think not. But PNM by PNM, for PNM, to PNM, investigated by PNM, to report by PNM, to tell you, the PNM, that they cannot tell you the truth. You all accept that? Or you want to vote out all of them? Let me tell you something. And remember, let's even go further back. These assets that were worth approximately 1.2 billion US came out of the PNM corruption plan for World GTL, which was a Malcolm Jones idea. Malcolm Jones was the PNM executive chairman of Petrotrin. He wasn't a regular chairman like Winfred Espinay that had a board meeting and minute. Executive chairman is like a CEO. And when they came in with that idea since 2007, and World GTL had no capital, and the executive chairman of Petrotrin, Malcolm Jones, took your money and invested your taxpayer money and lost all of it. And then Kamala Prasad Bisesa and Anand Ram Logan put them in court to recoup some 197 million pounds, $1 billion of your money. The PNM came in with Stuart Smallpin Young as a minister in the office of the Attorney General. Faris Alrawi, Catwoman, tight pants, came in and took Malcolm Jones out of court. So much so that the Privy Council had to wonder what sort of banana republic what sort of political machinations and overreach was taking place in Trinidad and Tobago. This is the essence. All of this is tied to this Nikwan thing, from Malcolm Jones, World GTL, PNM, Executive Chairman, court case, Privy Council. Look what the Privy Council had to say about this. And remember, Stuart Smallpin Young was Malcolm Jones' lawyer before he swore on the Bible to be Rowley's K-Pac licking minister. Run it!
It would have been reckless and irresponsible for an officer of the court to go to court knowing that you had no witness statements filed, no material to defend yourself with in terms of prosecuting your case, and worse yet, to then deceive the court and say, well, even though I know I have a bad case, I'm still pressing on. Because so if this matter were to go to trial, as Senator Sturge so boldly suggested, there would have been no evidence by Petrotrin before the court.
I mean, isn't he saying, this is all rather extraordinary? There was two pretty confident opinions from senior counsel that the case should be brought against Mr. Jones. It was. In September, there was a change of government. In October, Mr. Jones was appointed to the Standing Committee. Within days, there was a whisper in the papers that the case against him might be dropped. Within 10 days of that, Mr. Nelson is writing a very short opinion, and he's after all dealing with a withdrawal of a $97 million claim, Mr. Rowe, saying that he thinks there's a reasonable likelihood of failure. In all those, and then it's withdrawn and discontinued, and all the costs have to be paid. Isn't that the basis for saying we must please see the basis upon which Mr. Nelson cast his pessimism, which led to discontinuance?
Well, my Lord, it depends upon what one is concerned with. The way it's put by the appellant in his affidavit is, well, it's necessary to allay suspicions. But to put it bluntly, as we do put it bluntly in our case, bluntly the suspicion is that there's been some sort of political interference in all of this, such that for purely political reasons the new government has decided, irrespective of the merits of the case, that it ought to be dropped.
The Attorney General, as you'll see from the press statement, uniquely referred himself to the Law Association for his handling of the case. Why on earth would you do that? And seventhly, in relation to the points I was making before, the beneficiary of the decision, Johnson, had been appointed to the Government Standing Committee as an advisor just days before the legal opinion was provided to drop the case. That inevitably is going to create public concerns. Second broad point, benefit, it would enable the board of Petrotrin to be held to account by the public. If Petrotrin has now fired all its staff, it was one of the largest employers in Trinidad. 6,000 staff were fired, which for Trinidad is a huge loss. And all of this was a direct consequence of the financial mismanagement which resulted in this litigation concerns. It is naturally a very real concern for people in Trinidad. More specifically, people are asking themselves, why was a claim to recover £97 million of public money withdrawn?
I will not allow myself to be used as the scapegoat in the event there exists a political intention to scuttle or sabotage these matters so they don't proceed to trial. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is Mr. Debedine an attorney?
I believe he is.
Was he the attorney, the instructing attorney, who represented Petrotrin when bringing the case?
Again, I believe so, my Lord. I will check, but I believe you're right.
I think what, had there been further time, Mr. Clayton would have said to us was, it's not just what my client, a UNC activist, this is a lawyer raising real concerns about the way in which this has been handled.
And keep in mind that the name Vincent Nelson came up there because Vincent Nelson was a senior counsel paid for, and a request for advice was given on the strength of the case against Malcolm Jones, the then executive chairman of Petrotrin, with the World GTL matter, to recover 97 million pounds, $1 billion TT dollars. The PNM got Vincent Nelson, the same Vincent Nelson of Nelson Gate, of indemnity, of negotiation with Faris Al-Rawi, with Faris Al-Rawi and Rowley and the cabinet paying his legal fees, paying him fees owed, paying him and giving him an indemnity that they would not alert law officials in the UK or tax officials or investigative bodies in the UK if they would give evidence against the UNC. The same Vincent Nelson who gave a detailed analysis and opinion that meant that the case went forward when Faris Al-Rawi and Stuart Young, Malcolm Jones' lawyer previously, came into government swearing on the Bible to look after your affairs. They got Vincent Nelson, to give an unsolicited one paragraph to say, hey, forget all that, tell all about this case strong, it weak. That is the PNM. And that is what has gone on in this whole world GTL into Nikwan. And then look who the media finds. In the Guardian, Asha Javid finds Stuart Young, probably on top of her, to give a story and opinion on Nikwan. This is how Guardian Media Limited is turning our journalism in what it has turned into, because they hire Asha Javid to be the lead editor of political investigative stories at the Guardian. But here, Energy Minister Stuart Smallpin Young, who was the attorney before he became Minister of Malcolm Jones, who was the minister in the office of the Attorney General and minister in the office of the Prime Minister when the PNM withdrew the case, that the Privy Council was astounded at those actions and withdrew the case to get back your money. Energy Minister Stuart Young cannot say that Nikwan Energy Trinidad Limited received preferential treatment from the government of TNT. Well, he cannot say, or he won't say. It's more like he won't say because the facts show differently. Nikwan acquired the partially finished DTL plant in June 2018 for US $35 million, comprising initial cash payment of $10 million, as I just told you all, US, and preference shares issued to wholly state-owned Petrotrin in the amount of US $25 million. So Petrotrin, Trinidad and Tobago, you have 25 million US in shares in Nikwan that only blowing up and they produce nothing. In other words, your shares are worth zero. So Nikwan, them PNM people on the board and the owners of Nikwan got your assets that Malcolm Jones and the PNM pay billions of dollars for 10 million US. But no, they didn't get any preferential treatment. No, they just got nice treatment from little small pin. They got little small chooks. They got little small favors. They got little small things to make little small big money. That's what they got. Let's continue. Young confirmed the government invested 25 million in Nikwan by taking preference shares in the company and setting up a special purpose company to sell natural gas to Nikwan. So the government also put the 25 million in for preference shares. So it's not only that they get the shares, they put cash money in, your money, and then they set up a special gas company to give Nikwan your gas from the minister's share, which is your share that is managed by the PNM because they gerrymander election and had an election, right? Under EBC that is compromised. Young said he would not consider the preference share investment and the special purpose company to be a bend over backwards for anything. That was a government policy to allow them to set up the operations and get expansion of the industry. Yeah, you didn't bend over backwards for your PNM. Just like Asha Javi didn't bend over backwards for you because it couldn't work, Smallpin. So that's what Smallpin says. And that's what you have to hold of this PNM web of corruption, web of nepotism, from a minister who recused himself more than West Indies make runs against Zimbabwe. He is telling you about preference and conflict of interest and preferential treatment. And his article is written by one of his girl, Asha Javid. That's what passes for corporate governance, transparency and accountability in Trinidad and Tobago under the PNM. And if you accept that, my people, well, you accept that. But if you don't, August 14th, in every nook and cranny, get rid of Small Pinyang, get rid of Asha Javid, get rid of Guardian Media Limited, get rid of Rowley and the PNM. As we talk that, and we talk in conflict of interest and bias and apparent bias and so on, let me just read something for you. It's very interesting. Government, meaning the PNM, rejects Frost as TT Revenue Authority head. Now remember, the UNC is against this Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority. The PNM is running gung-ho to try and start it to replace BIR and Inland Revenue and to appoint people and a Director General and a PNM board to oversee your taxes. Taxes that mean that they could get their hands on all your information, and if you pay your taxes, they could take your property and impose penalties and so on and control the population in a sort of a really harsh manner. That the PNM want to set up that and set up a PNM board to hire PNM people, to hire PNM Director General and Direct Inspector General, come down the board, and the UNC says fire burn that we not going there. Well, let me give you a little example written by Asha Javid in the Guardian, Sunday, June 25th, 2023. Government, the PNM government rejects Frost as TT Revenue Authority head. The ORTT, Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago awardee, topped the merit list. The government has rejected Dr. Sterling Frost, who received the nation's highest award 10 months ago as the new Director General of the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority. Frost, presently the Group Deputy Chief Executive Officer of First Citizens Operations and Administration, topped the recruitment process conducted by PricewaterhouseCoopers. This man applied, topped the merit list of an independent institution, PricewaterhouseCoopers, meaning he was the best, the most suitable, most independent person to head up what would be a very important, critical institution, the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority. But the Sunday Guardian understands this was communicated to him in April, and at the time the decision had the approval of the Minister of Finance, Colm Imber. So Colm Imber, for once, give Jackie jacket, said, listen, PricewaterhouseCoopers, you did the headhunting, you choose a man, I approve that. Based on your professional analysis, we paid you all to do a job, I accept that, send that to Cabinet. So Colm Imber sends Mr. Frost an order of merit recipient. Understand this, you know. However, when it was considered by the government, Frost was rejected. In other words, Keith Rowley rejected Frost. Why? You'll answer the question. I told you how the man he applied, he went through the process, best, and Kangaloo was telling the children, work hard, discipline, become great, and greatness will be bestowed upon you. Then she said that merit is key. The man topped the list, win the thing, deserve the job. Colm Imber, the minister say, well, I'm not getting involved, that's an independent process, go ahead to the Cabinet. And Keith Christopher Rowley say, no, I don't want Frost, I want somebody else. Remind you of anything else? Merit List Police Service Commission. My boy who writing articles in the papers about labor and so on. All the police service commissioners go through their work, put a merit list 1 to 12, send it forward through the chairman to the president. Rowley goes to the president, whispers in the president's ear to thwart the merit list because he ain't want Gary Griffith. He don't like Gary Griffith. He have no confidence in Gary Griffith. He wants somebody else. Doesn't it sound similar and familiar? The decision was approved. However, when it was considered by government officials, Frost was rejected for the post. Right? There were the Unit Trust Corporation, UTC Nigel Edwards, was therefore directed to begin the recruitment process again. The first recruitment, which lasted 4 months, December 2022 to March 2023, cost the taxpayers $119,965. And Rowley says, I don't want that man. I want somebody else. Why? Because he wants to control them. Because he wants somebody who's his puppet. Because he wants to control the revenue authority and the taxes and get all your information and turn it into a weapon against political opponents and others who dare oppose him, because it's another spoke in his wheel of dictatorship and tyrannical oppression. Rowley don't want for us. So spend your taxpayers' money and keep going until you find a lick Bamsi that Rowley want. That's where our country has reached. I don't know Frost. Me, I don't know, but me ain't care. He went, he applied, he's the best, put him there, do the work. That's how the country should run, on merit, not on druggists being Minister of Health to kind pass an exam. Edwards confirmed the decision and that a second recruitment for the post is underway. Right? This is very interesting. Because when you get involved and the overreach and the executive breaches the separation of powers, we have a problem. We saw it with Rowley attacking the DPP. We saw it with Rowley attacking the Commissioner of Police. We saw it with Rowley making the president appoint who he wanted as Commissioner of Police. We see it with Rowley and his cabinet being the ones who can extend Earl Christopher's appointment as Commissioner of Police. We see it with the appointment of Rowley's puppet president, Kangaloo. We are seeing it in all independent institutions. We are seeing it with the abduction of Brent Thomas from Barbados, when we still have not understood or heard how the police get on a CARICOM jet. We are seeing it in every independent institution. We are seeing overreach from Rowley trying to impact the THA and their chief administrator. We are seeing the naked, tyrannical, oppressive nature of Rowley in every sphere. And now we see it once again. We see it where the judge, and I told her, Justice Peterson, Gilbert Peterson's wife, I said, my lady, what you doing? I don't know you. But a case come up that is political. Use politics. Your husband is politics. You and your husband is Rowley friend and neighbor and thing for decades. Come out, let somebody else do that. Didn't I say that, Archie? As we reminding people conflict of interest, Gilbert Peterson. You see now the PSA complains of pillow talk between judge and husband. Gilbert Peterson, why are you so shameless and classless? Because you are an intelligent human being, I know that. And you must know what's right and wrong. You must know what's professional conduct, what's propriety. You must know. You must know that you are a PNM and you have been Rowley's friend for a long time. And you must know that you love your wife, and your wife who love you, and you all love Rowley and his family, and you all are PNM together, and you benefit from PNM briefs, and where your wife walks and talks in the house and the chandeliers and so on, some of it is paid for by PNM largesse and PNM connections, like bunkering contracts. And when you sit down and you lime and you knock grass with Rowley and so on, your wife is there because you love your wife. And when you're in Inez Gate, as a neighbor to Rowley, I'm sure when you go there with your beautiful wife, and you all still lime, friendly. So, sir, if a political case comes up, TTRA, don't you think it right and proper that your wife recuse herself? What's wrong with that? Is Anil being bad? Am I being vulgar and malicious? Or is it just right? Tell me now. Because your compass gone so far. Because your best friend is a miscreant named Keith Christopher Rowley. And now you bring your wife into this nonsense. As a man, how you feel? How you feel? Because now the PSA complaints of pillow talk, possible pillow talk between a husband and his wife has been raised as a complaint against the judge. The lady name never called him nothing before, Gilbert. Never. All she had to do was just say, no, only let somebody else handle that. My husband is Rowley, friend who has benefit from that. I don't want no part of that. But somehow, she knows that she should have done that, but she didn't. Why? Did you tell her? Did Rowley tell her? Y'all bring the woman into this bacchanal, really, Gilbert? Somebody will love you, do them that? So now they have a big bacchanal and a couture over the lady. I mean, the position of the PSA seems to be righteous because it only makes sense. And when you study the case law on apparent bias and so on, it's quite obvious and quite self-explanatory. But Balize Jews does turn intelligent fellas into evil, wicked, heartless dum-dums. And now, Sunday Express, Gilbert Peterson's wife, Justice Betsy Ann Lambert Peterson, all of a sudden, before the case is heard about whether there's apparent bias and whether she should recuse herself and whether there's conflict of interest, she takes the unprecedented step of making a statement as a judge. And she says, I have no political connection. That's debatable. That's what will be discussed. You have a husband, 45 years. Y'all have been friends with Rowley, 45 years. Y'all are neighbors with Rowley. Gilbert Peterson is Rowley's lawyer. Y'all lime, barbecue, cook curry, corn soup together, Inez Gate. Y'all are partners in the Inez Gate property because when you own a property, you put in a share in the community group and so on. So you're kind of business partners also, plus your husband. Let's read what the judge says. So said High Court Judge Betsy Ann Lambert Peterson, who on Friday took the unprecedented step of issuing a personal statement defending herself against a claim of bias. My marriage has not dimmed my ability to exercise a high degree of agency in my personal and professional life. Yes, my lady, that may be absolutely true. But does that matter when it comes to apparent bias? We're not talking about actual bias, and that could be debated. But when determining apparent bias, your professional integrity and your ability to dissociate yourself from your loving husband and your friendship with Rowley and his wife and so on, that does not arise, my lady, and you know that. So why are you writing that nonsense in a statement? Her formal personal statement was issued last Friday, moments before the hearing of the application of bias. Don't you think your statement, formal statement made public, is inappropriate before a hearing is to be heard? Something is to be heard before another judge? Wouldn't that, if someone was to do that in a case that you were to hear and give opinion, you know that's totally inappropriate. What is causing you to do all of this, my lady? In a statement, Justice Lambert Peterson, and this is the critical part I want you to listen to. Justice Lambert Peterson confirmed that her husband, Gilbert Peterson SC, is one of the Prime Minister's golfing friends. She confirmed that he has purchased 2 townhouses in Tobago from Inez Investment, the same development in which the Prime Minister purchased a townhouse. She confirmed that he is the chairman of 2 state companies for which he receives stipends, appointed by Keith Rowley, the Prime Minister, and the Cabinet. She confirmed that he spoke in favor of Attorney General Reginald Armour in the motion of no confidence which was considered by the Law Association last year. Confirmed that he is a director of RH Gas, which received a bunkering license, a lucrative multi-million-dollar US license from the Ministry of Energy. And she confirmed that her husband has represented Keith Rowley in several court matters. However, Justice Lambert Peterson has maintained that she can adjudicate objectively on the TTRA case, which is before her, and which the political and financial stakes are high for the Rowley government as it seeks to implement a critical pillar in the tax-raising policy. The matter not only has financial implications, but political ramifications, since the opposition has criticized the legislation, describing it as a violation and an assault on the Constitution. Lambert Peterson said, the matter involving the legal challenge to the TTRA was docketed to her through an administration process over which I have no control. This matter, like any other constitutional motion listed before me, will be determined on its merits. Yes, madam, you had no control over how it got docketed to you, but you did have control over recusing yourself based on the list of confirmation that you've made about the close, intertwined, intimate relationship that your husband and yourself have with Keith Rowley and his family and his wife as neighbors and business partners, and receiving your husband, of which you live with, and the two will become one. So money coming into the home from state companies and state board and state contracts and bunkering contracts, all of these things come and help your life, and they influence you. Plus you love your husband dearly. You've married him for how many years? So let me remind you, Madam Justice, let's see the law, the case law on apparent bias. And what is apparent bias? The case law really got settled finally, Porter versus McGill in 2002, by the House of Lords unanimously. So it have no home and away like Lymouth like to say. Previously, the basis of apparent bias was a reasonable suspicion of bias, right? That was decided in UK Limited versus Bayfield Property, where there was a real danger of bias was the benchmark, or a possibility of bias. They changed in that was 1999, and Lord Bigham gave his judgment where he said, if for any other reason there were real grounds for doubting the ability of the judge to ignore extraneous considerations, prejudices, and predilections, recusal would be necessary. The judge must consider all the objectives made, and if there are any grounds for doubt about the possibility of bias, he must exclude himself. So that was what it was before. My lady, you in breach of all the old benchmark for apparent bias that says the reasonable person, but then the newer one, the way it says the informed reasonable person, because a reasonable person who has no clue about nothing might just say, well, but the informed person, like we on douglAR Politics, we are informed that you are Gilbert Peterson wife. We are informed that Gilbert Peterson is Rowley's good friend for decades. We are informed that you and Gilbert Peterson and Rowley and his wife are neighbors in Gate and work together in that community. That you and Gilbert Peterson as husband and wife have had intimate relationships with and many family functions with Rowley. That Gilbert Peterson, your husband, is Rowley's attorney in many matters, personal lawyer. And that Gilbert Peterson is the beneficiary of bunkering contracts and state board appointments based on Rowley. And Gilbert Peterson receives many millions in dollars and briefs to advise Rowley's government. We know this because we are informed. We are the reasonable, informed person. In the case Medicaments and Related Goods 2001, number 2 of 2001, WRR 700, Lord Phillips MR said, we changed from the old test, which was RV Goff, to Lord Hope's exposition in Porter versus McGill, that a fair-minded and informed observer, and the threshold is a real possibility rather than the danger of bias. So now the threshold moved to it being a real possibility. Is it a real possibility that all that love, all that intimacy, all that connection in a political case, that there's a real possibility that you could be biased by one side or the X? And then when we read now, it was codified. So you went to McGill, Porter versus McGill, and then you also have the International Union, the European Union, the court the conduct, the code, civil procedure. This was written in the Civil Procedure Review of the European Court, Judicial Code of Conduct, March 2013. The 6 core principles known as the Bangalore Principles of Judicial Conduct. I do all this for you, Justice Betsy. I thought I would just say, kill God, that your brethren, that your friend, and thing. Come out of that now. I thought that would have done it, but it didn't. You come out with a statement, so now I have to go in detail to tell you how you're wrong. So the 6 core principles known as the Bangalore Principles of Judicial Conduct. 1. Judicial independence is a prerequisite and a fundamental guarantee of a fair trial. Number 2, impartiality is essential. Not a deputy essential like Gadsby Dolly, you know. Impartiality is essential. Integrity is essential. Why are you fighting so hard to hear the case? You have colleagues who don't have no bunkering contract, who don't have no husband who does lime with Rowley, who don't have no husband who does play golf with Rowley, who don't have no husband who does represent Rowley in case, who don't have no husband who buy place to be neighbor in Hines Gate with Rowley, who don't have no husband who get millions of dollars and brief from Rowley, who don't have no husband who on 2 state boards get appointed by Rowley, who don't have no husband who love Rowley. Why is this so hard for you to understand, my lady? Propriety and the appearance of propriety. Number 5, equality of treatment. Number 6, competence and diligence. The guide goes on to state, judicial independence is sometimes mistakenly perceived as a privilege enjoyed by judges, whereas it is in fact the cornerstone of our system of government in a democratic society and a safeguard of the freedom and rights of the citizen under the rule of law. It confirms all the precautions that were present before that the judge had to take to recuse himself or herself if bias could be discerned by the reasonable man. In Lesage versus Mauritius Commercial Bank, Lord Kerr stated, inter alia, whether in the mind of the informed observer, the failure to consider the propriety of their continuing to hear the case creates a possibility of bias, is to be judged both prospectively and retrospectively. The actual conduct of the judges during the trial is to be examined, therefore to see whether it supports or detracts from the suggestion that there was the appearance of possible prejudice. My lady, how you adjudicated the matter? In favor of Rowley, not so? So it didn't detract. You see, if you had ruled in favor of the other side, then it would have detracted from the breaches of the tenets of apparent bias. But it didn't. In this case, retrospectively, it added to the pain that you must be feeling for your inappropriate decision making. The CCJ that you and the PNM and everybody love, they mirrored the exact statement and agreement of the guide of the European Council. So, in summing up, the case of apparent bias does not require actual bias, on you stating that you can be professional and you can differentiate between your love for your husband and friendship with Rowley and you can adjudicate the case. That's not the issue. The benchmark is for apparent bias. As long as an informed, reasonable individual believes, based on the interacting relationships that have existed or exist, that there will be bias on one side. End of story. And you cannot deny that. If you admit all of that connection and then you want to deny it, talking about that, then we see judges, all of a sudden the media jump out. That separation of powers is critical to democracy. They didn't care when Kangaloo went as president, how they tried to put she in papers every day to tell me, respect she. She's a PNM, gospel of the PNM, put there by the PNM, appointed by the PNM. The only thing she ever did in her whole life involved PNM. But they say that's okay. When Rowley interfered with the merit list, they leave that. When Rowley interfered with the DPP and Nelson Gate and indemnity in interfering with the work and criminal proceedings of the DPP, nothing, they leave that to go. Now they sat a ball that Munilal talked something on the platform when Dr. Munilal asked the questions of how did Rowley have advanced information about a case that was not adjudicated upon yet, that no judgment was given, it's in the future. Did Rowley have a crystal ball? That's all Munilal has. Remind them, show them in St. Joseph.
They cannot prosecute anyone in the United National Congress of the former People's Partnership on EMBDC, any matter. So Rowley come now. But what was very instructive, and I will tell you in a nutshell, I'll tell you just in a nutshell, there is an appeal at the Court of Appeal launched by certain parties in that matter. I am not a party to it. But others have launched an appeal at the Court of Appeal. And do you know what he said last week? He said the Court of Appeal has determined that Munilal must file a defense. Brothers and sisters, that ruling is due to be delivered in the first week of July. This is June. How the hell he know what the Court of Appeal will determine? How he know that? Is Keith Rowley in cahoots with judges at the Court of Appeal? Senator, what your name, Anil? Vieira. He said when we took a matter in the parliament on a motion on impeachment proceedings against the former president, he said a Court of Appeal judge texted him to tell him they were not happy with the UNC MPs and senators. Rowley now is saying he already know what the Court of Appeal will decide. This, brothers and sisters, is a very serious matter. It speaks to the undermining of the rule of law, of the judiciary in a country where a prime minister is telling the country he know what the Court of Appeal will determine. Last week, Monday, it is on record. So tonight, I call on the Chief Justice. Please, clear the air. Is Keith Rowley in touch with any and all judges of the Court of Appeal? Is he in touch with the judiciary that he can determine? Is he putting pressure on the judges to determine a ruling in that EMBDC?
Now you hear what Munilal did? He asked questions based on a statement made 7 days before by Prime Minister Keith Christopher Rowley. You know what the Express today trying to say? That Rowley and Munilal politicians should not talk about the court cases and so on. It's dangerous. What Munilal did, Munilal didn't talk anything about any judgment, about any statement, did not give any information. He asked questions about how Rowley knew that Munilal will be told or asked to file a defense in the civil suit brought by the PNM. Now the media did not, Rowley made that, understand what I'm saying? Rowley made that irresponsible, disrespectful, very dangerous comment on June 12th, alluding or insinuating that he had some sort of information about a judgment yet to be given. That is the most dangerous thing in a democracy based on the principles of separation of powers and the rule of law. Munilal, on hearing that and waiting for his opportunity to speak, asked the questions to pertinent people. How could Rowley have this information? How could this information get into the hands of Rowley? Is this information true? What is going on? And he asked some critical questions. There is absolutely nothing wrong with asking questions. But the Express come to lump Munilal and Rowley into the same vein in their editorial today. The Express and all the media, I have questions to you. Rowley made that statement, that dangerous statement, purporting to have advanced information on a judgment not yet given by a Court of Appeal panel of judges. How come you all didn't take on that? How come you didn't ask Rowley that? How come you didn't print anything on that? How come you didn't get columns of senior counsel and people, the Law Association, to give their opinion on that? How come you did not berate Rowley for his interference and overstep into the realm of the judiciary? It take Munilal asking questions for all you to wake up and see that Rowley was wrong. So if Munilal didn't ask nothing, you could just go ahead. And whether Rowley right, wrong, lie, tell truth, are in touch with judges, all you didn't investigate who were the judges who WhatsApp, unless Vera was lying. And if independent Senator Vera was lying, he should resign. And if he was telling the truth, then the Chief Justice and the media should have found out who were the judges who would WhatsApp an independent senator criticizing UNC opposition senators and their behavior in the Senate. Because that is not on, that is inappropriate. And as we're talking about inappropriate, Rowley say Farley is not to be trusted. Right? Rowley, Rowley of Landate, Rowley of Greenville, Rowley of Renaissance, Rowley of Las Alturas, Rowley of Email Gate, Rowley of Nelson Gate, Rowley of Police Service Commission Gate, Rowley of Bridgemont, Rowley of Rowley, saying that Farley is not to be trusted. Rowley of horny wife and make twins. Rowley of horny wife and make a next one. Rowley of disrespect children and make a child with a girl of school age. Rowley who disrespect Daryl Smith and had sex with Daryl Smith's wife while he was a minister in his own cabinet. Rowley of Gadsby Dolly. Rowley of down the stairs, 3 dogs, a parrot, into the run, a red couch. Rowley talking about Farley is not to be trusted. And she show me about Rowley now.
Big lies that he has been caught with. Keith Christopher lying Rowley. Email Gate, you shameless liar. Delcy and PDVSA as Astrobal Chavez. I didn't know who it was as Astrobal Chavez. Fake oil, Petrotrain, I'm a friend. I call him and say, but how things are, everything all right? Petrotrain open Rowley? You shameless liar. Beatham wastewater plant. Rowley now saying, he went and do an interview with Natalie Lagore and say, well, it wasn't 50,000 people. It's UNC lie and say that it's 50,000 people went to Tobago. It was really 25,000 people that went both ways. You calling people liar, Rowley? Bridgemont's cabinet approval. HDC Chinese contract. Renaissance Shorelands. Rowley was the Minister of Integrated Planning and Development back in 2003. Let me don't talk about Landate. There was a whole file on it reached by the DPP, you know, but they forget to tell he. But gravel roll from by hospital to somewhere by he. Sheep farm, the man built a sheep farm and did not get the certificate of environmental clearance or the EIA. It's on the record there. You shameless liar.
This world is a place now in 2019 going forward where people are making a career of not speaking the truth, and every item of information has to be checked and double checked.
The government is not closing down Petrotrain.
I'm now discovering some person called Asdrubal Chavez, who I'm now discovering as part of the commission. He worked as part of a commission for PDVSA restructuring.
Looked at the opposition bench when it was their turn to stand up. Nobody stood up. And then I hear that comment from Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa that she was prevented from speaking.
As chairman of the National Security Council, as Prime Minister of this country, I did not know that the police was on to Marlene McDonald.
However, I hold the office of chairman of the National Security Council, and I may have a little more information on these matters than any other citizen.
Mr. Motley was only invited to work with this government on the issue of gas. Gas, in dealing with the gas companies, in dealing with the gas master plan. That's where Mr. Motley had absolutely nothing to do with Sandals. So whatever note you have, they tear it up.
To appoint a team of people and we are grateful that they've agreed to serve some those who have already been informed. And that team is to be headed by Mr. Wendell Motley.
In the country where I lead as Prime Minister, that the decision of the DPP has come under attack by members of this government because the government didn't like the decision. It is a lie. I have kept my distance very far from offices that are deemed to be independent, right? Because I know if you hear me talking to the DPP in a restaurant or in his office, or if you see me going to his office, that would make news for a month. All I did was to accept an invitation to a function that was hosted by and funded by Angostura. When we asked that this be done as this very special event for our Jubilee, when we asked that this be done as this very special event for our Jubilee,
I do not speak loosely, and I don't tell lies. I am prepared to stand the consequences of my actions, whatever they might be, and therefore I don't have to lie to get a better outcome.
And I know that you will accept that from a Prime Minister who always tells you the truth.
What a pathological liar. And he say Farley cannot be trusted, and he have no idea about the corruption in the THA under the PNM. Don't worry, the police will wake up and realize that they have a job to do, and they cannot keep protecting Rowley and his PNM cabinet of miscreants, liars and thieves. So understand this. You'll see that man. That man selects his cabinet, selects his members, his constituency, his representatives, his local government chairman, the chairman of boards, his friends and family across the board. He has infected the PNM, which was already a tithering institution, riding the backs of Privat, O'Halloran, Dr. Eric Williams, coming forward to call the heart, Uttara Rao, Andre Montai, Noel Garcia, Keith Rowley, and others. August 14th is coming. St. Joseph saw and felt and is feeling the winds of change sweeping throughout the Burgesses into local government, the San Juan Lavanti Corporation, Tunapuna Piaco Corporation, all the way up to Arima. In St. Joseph, the people came out on a holiday, Labor Day, like never before. Local government or general election. This local government election is an election, a huge election to show Keith Rowley that all of those lies, all of the interference in independent institutions, the disrespect, the disdain for the population, his evil use of power to suppress the people will not be tolerated by the people. That you will take your finger and wave it in the face of Rowley by dipping it and voting him and anybody associated with him out of office. Look at what took place in St. Joseph, and tomorrow night in San Fernando, Naparima boys will be even bigger. I see my boy Safraz. Safraz, the UNC was strong, UNC was good, Kamala was good, policy was good, Anil was good. We working hard together before screening, and because you ain't get selected, we all bad. Come now, man, Safraz. Anyway, tomorrow night, Trinidad and Tobago, you are all invited to Naparima Boys College Auditorium, where the United National Congress will show you, demonstrate to you the brilliance of our membership, our candidates. Come one, come all. Tomorrow night in South, the San Fernando Corporation is going to the United National Congress, just like every corporation across Trinidad. What Tobago did to Rowley, Trinidad will follow. Tobagonians are ingenious, brilliant, heartfelt, and passionate. The only difference is that in Tobago, there's really only one race. In Trinidad, they try to play the race card, but they will learn that we are all of one race. We are all Trinbagonians. We all bleed red, and we will vote out the PNM evil under Keith Rowley and anyone who associates with him, whether for a bag of money, a box of money. They sell their soul for a red tie at 2:30 when they was in a yellow one at 8 a.m. Your hungry belly, stay there. Go there. Line with miscreants, line with evil. The United National Congress is about people, about country, about policy, about heart and soul. Come down tomorrow night. Join us at Naparima Boys College. Come for 6 p.m. Good night.